Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and this is welcoming you to the Monday's edition of Shagalinko. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who will join us later, no wahala. We're streaming on three destinations on Shagalinko TV YouTube page, on Shagalinko TV Facebook page, and also on Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari's personal page. So today we're celebrating success, we're celebrating days of little beginnings, we're celebrating a sister, a colleague, and a prof in the making. She's a regular on this show, and her organization turned or will be turning one shortly in a couple of days. And that's why we felt we should have her on the show and talk about how life has been with her and every other thing. So I won't even waste time. Let me just bring in Lady Chinasa and to talk with us. Hi, Chinasa.
Hello, hi everyone. It's nice to show my face here again today. How has
Ah,
it been, Emmanuel, on your Shangalinku show?
it's not been easy, coupled with the fact that I'm always traveling. Someone jokingly called me that I should be competing with the birds, that the birds are jealous of me and asking, okay, you won't take our airspace?
Two things that we know you for: spitting in the microphone and being constant customer to airlines.
Do you know, sometimes I get to the airport now and the lady will be looking at me say, okay, you were here 3 days ago now. I say, my sister, that's so I say, Chinasa, you are looking good. What's the
Thank
secret?
you. So I had a vacation last week after my winter quarter exams that almost exhausted me. So I took a 1 week vacation. I was just doing two things, sleeping and eating.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and you can see it's the grace of God that I've manifested.
Wow. Thank you so much. So we see people are already joining us, and I wouldn't want to take their time. Jenny Gabriel is here, and a few couple of people are here. So we're celebrating Siedihub particularly, and I must say congratulations. Just like yesterday, Chinasa, Siedihub is turning a year. How do you feel?
Well, the truth is that na woman wey no carry belle no go born, and na pikin wey no
Abi,
wey dey never born no go turn one. So it's been a journey, and we are grateful, coming to the show and using different platforms to talk about our lessons and our struggle in this 1 year from being a toddler, learning how to crawl, learning how to sit down. Now I think we will start taking our big first step at 1 year. So it's been an amazing journey.
okay, so I know a lot of people may not know what the City Hub stands for, but first of all, I need you to do two things for us. You first tell us who Chinasa is, what you do, and then you take us through a short background of City Hub, and then we'll come back to ask more questions.
Okay. Um, I will start by, I think, introducing myself. So, my name is Chinasa Imo, and I'm an international development and global health policy strategist. Sometimes people wonder, so what's the difference between global health practitioner and policy strategist? So, what I do as a policy strategist is look at policies and interpret them in a way that it can be applied to different contexts, different environments, and not just about designing policies for the purpose of having policies in the book. For instance, we're having a conversation in a group that we are in, and someone asked me, so if we distribute a solar bag of $55 to low income people in Nigeria, do you think that will sell? I just look and laugh and say, well, if you are talking about the Nigeria I know of, where people barely earn $3 a day, then you are asking if their whole month salary, which is now up to $50, for that category of people if they can invest it in buying that solar bag. To do what? Just to charge their devices when phone is not even the most important need that they have. So that is what the policy strategists do. And in the course of my education, I'm running a PhD program at the University of Chicago Crown Family School of Social Work, Policy and Practice. And prior to then, I finished from the same university with a master's degree in international development and policy. So I'm looking at policy from both ends, government and the social policy aspect of it. And besides schooling and all whatnot, and the expertise that I've drawn so far come from a long years of working in the humanitarian and development space, specifically in the health sector. And Emmanuel, we know this story now from infectious disease prevention and intervention to program designing to technical advisory role at the state level, and managing organizations communications and all whatnot. So it's been a whole length of service and experience acquisition in that industry, and that culminated to me pulling those experiences and ideas that I've gathered working across different countries in West Africa specifically to start Siedihub. Siedihub is a non-profit, so it's a short form, but we prefer to be called Siedi because Siedi is a proper African name that any person can bear, whether a man or a woman. And the idea is that whether you are a young man, a young woman, which is like young people, we are trying to create a safe space, which is the hub, for you to be empowered socioeconomically to know how to increase your economic mobility. And that will translate to you also increasing your voice because when we look at behavioral economics, when people earn more money, they make better choices, at least for themselves. They think better and they contribute to economic growth of the society. So they can now feel confident enough to go to town hall meetings, to voice out, to look at policies and issues, to train their kids when they have them, to even enroll in further studies. Those things are tied to economic mobility. So when we empower these young women and young men, we are also giving them space to have a voice to contribute to policy change at state level. Because we've seen that in Nigeria, when you go to the federal, there's a whole bucket of policies, very beautiful. Like when I look at policies like our AMR policy in Nigeria is fantastic. It has won a lot of accolades from WHO, but how applicable is that policy at the grassroots and local level when we have low income people struggling for their daily bread? We have low education and literacy level at the state level. And, with those two combination, people don't even know what their voice should be or how to use it or even how to assess those policies that are translated to guidelines and SOPs and what that even mean to a common man. Like if you tell me not to take, malaria medication until I go and get tested, do you give me money to go to the hospital to even get tested? And even if I have the money, is there even a hospital close to me that I can access? And when that is happened, is there even a medical practitioner to really educate me on the proper way to take this medication? So at the policy level, we have those policies, we know those guidelines, but what about at the grassroots level? How are we syncing those information? How are we improving knowledge base of the citizens to know what to do and then to use their voice properly to continue to engage in policy processes?
Okay, thank you so much. So that's the nutshell. That's a nutshell about Chinasa and Siedihub, and it's a pleasure that we're wasking strong. I just can't even believe that Siedihub of yesterday, where we came online to do a few inaugural meetings, programs, and all of that. It's 1 year soon. It feels so good. Apologies to our viewers today. Network has been really, really crazy. I don't know what's happening with Abuja today, whether the network is also following the elections that are going on across the state. Abuja is not doing election now, so why is network season going up and on? So please, our viewers, bear with us. We'll manage a network like this and see how it goes. I know we'll still bring Chinasa here, maybe on the day of the 1 year launch or the 1 year anniversary, we'll still bring up, but let's even talk more. So yes, Chinasa, thank you for taking us through all of that. So let me come to a few of the struggles, because people don't understand that it takes a whole lot. People don't also understand that you need funds to set up organizations, you need support here and there. Go they just go with the cliche that once you set up an organization, um, that's just it. Funds will just keep coming from left, right, and center. I know the network is going off. Hope you understand the question. So basically, my question to you is, how has the journey been? What are you looking for in terms of fundings? How do you intend partnering with other organizations to push CD Hub to where it's supposed to be or it ought to be?
Thank you, Emmanuel, for that question. So, when we started CD Hub, just like every startup will tell you the challenges that they go through. The major problem was, so I'm going to tell you three major challenges that we faced. The first is, and I think I've spoken about this at length when you brought me to the show sometime last year. The first challenge was even the location where we currently operate from in Abia State, Nigeria. Um, People would say the eastern zone is NGO dead zone. So we had the first challenge of even getting ourselves to be properly stabilized and begin to network and interact with stakeholders and other nonprofits that are operating at the local level. It was one of the biggest challenge because the government is used to um, you know in a Nigerian parlance, business as usual. So when new organization come up, it feels like a threat. They want to know what you are coming to do. Are you trying to come to review our books, especially when you say you are going to do policy engagement at state level? So it triggers off a caution on how they trade with you. So that was the first challenge that we faced, and gradually by interaction and other things, we are getting by. Not that we have completely overcome that challenge, but we are getting by. The second one was even getting to employ staff. You would see like when you go to places like Abuja and Lagos, because there is a whole lot of NGOs um, in that place. So there is how do I call it, a condensation of skills, and even when young graduates come, there is an access to mentorship, there's access to training, there's always training, capacity building happening everywhere, so people upskill quickly and join the industry. But in the east it was challenging. You have fresh graduates from school, they do not know any non-profit practice, they do not know, even when they have passion, they do not know what is required of them in terms of how to communicate their intent, how to interact with different stakeholders and all whatnot, and even how NGO generally is managed, because the practice is quite different from everyday civil service work or private enterprise, where organizations focus is usually on profit making. So it became a challenge to hire qualified staff, and even up till now, we are still struggling with hiring, even though we've gotten quite a number of staff to occupy good position. And then the third one, which is the funding part, um, well, is one of the most difficult problem of any startup. I have spoken to mentors, I've spoken to people who've been in the industry for over 10 years, and they keep telling me that they are still challenged with how to get funding, especially as a non-profit organization. Investment is not profit, is social benefits. So there's an investment of so much money into the industry, and you expect that the translation of that investment is improvement of people's well-being, and all whatnot. When people do not know how to measure you know that kind of investment, return on investment, it becomes difficult for you to get people to buy into your ideas, to buy into your passion, and to invest in it. So it's been a big challenge, trying to gather resources. But also the secret they told me is that when you start something, first you have to invest in yourself, because when it's only when you've proven to everyone that you think your idea is too important, you think your idea is very important, and that you can achieve it, and you invest your time, your resources, your energy into making that work, that people will now see the tenacity that you have employed throughout that process to come out. That is when they begin to invest in you. And I'll say that it's beginning to pay off, because for this whole 1 year, we were running deficits. We were running on, please, can you give me money? I have program and I'm looking for her to pay. We were running on friends, please, begging friends, please, can you do you have any spare change to donate to our organization? We were running on personal funds, because we have to also prove that our goals are not just flimsy or whimsy excuse to start up just a non-profit to gather people's money. And it's beginning to pay off, because now people are seeing us demonstrate our capacity and our capability to do what we say we do in our mission statement, and they're beginning to approach us. So now we see partnership with organizations like Empower Next Generations. We've seen our recent program with Boundless Hands Africa and the American embassy, with the International Women's Day. We've seen a lot of organization approaching us now, writing us, telling us about grant opportunities that they think that we fit in to apply. And those are the payoffs that we want to celebrate in this our 1 year anniversary. Thank you. You are muted. I think the internet is still dealing with Emmanuel in Abuja. So hopefully he'll join us back soon.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I got a message here from Raf. Sorry about the network, it's going off and on. Raf says, thank God she's on. Raf is your brother, Chinasa. He's from Abia.
Nice to meet you, Raf.
Okay. There's another one here from Esther Hadiza Ijaku. It says, interesting. Please, why do you think the East is perceived as an NGO dead zone?
Thanks, Esther, for this question. I didn't coin that. I didn't coin that language, but I think it also borders on what I have said before now. Um, One is the scarcity of capacity, and also the uninterestedness of organizations to invest in this capacity to grow. um the practice in business is like people want to invest little to earn more. So you want to go to places where, for instance, there's strong internet capacity, connectivity, so you can hold your meetings and all whatnot. You want to go where there's all already knowledge base on the things that you do, so that it makes it easy for you to kick off. And um, some places like Lagos or Abuja, or in the northern place where there've been a whole lot of interventions, non-profit intervention programs, they're already aware of those kind of programs. So it's easy for a new startup to go in there and find their footings. But in the East, experience all over has been people who have tried to establish their organization. Now, mind you, I'm not saying there are not non-profits existing there, or that some organizations are not operating, but the challenge makes it uninteresting for people to continue investments there. And I have also seen that myself. Like you, I we really have to build a whole strategy on how to improve capacity, improve organizational capacity, and um, network with stakeholders, because they don't understand what you are coming to do. Like I said, it's not business as usual. So you have to go an extra mile to map them, to map who will pose as a threat, or who is posing as well an uninterested bystander that you can move over as your supporter. And all these things takes time, and most organizations would not want to invest so much in doing SWOT analysis, in doing political economy analysis to understand the terrain, and then begin to do empowerment and capacity program just so you would have a leveling ground to start programming. So with that, people just come and do maybe one hit wonder, assuming you have a grant and you mention in passing that one of the eastern states is one of your implementing states. So you just go there, do, and you run back to Abuja where there is population of non-profits. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, we got another message here. It's from Oche Courage. He say, awesome. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you so much, Oche.
Thank you very much.
Um, yeah, and then Esther came back again a second time, and she says, thank you indeed. We naturally gravitate towards the paths of least resistance. Okay.
Yeah, and I agree. Every business person wants to hit the ground running and start, making profits, or at least start seeing return on investment. So if it takes a long time to invest, then people term that as a business that is not viable. But
True. Okay.
it's
Go on. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, but social development work is not business. We have to improve the
True.
life of people. For instance, when you look at agitations in the eastern part of Nigeria, I often tell, like when I have conversation with people about different agitations, not just the IPOP agitation. Even when you look at the characteristics of Boko Haram at the initial time and all whatnot, even the Niger Delta thing, is spurred by poverty and frustration. When people cannot have access to things that they term basic to live, a healthy lifestyle, and they see a lot of appropriation of funding, government funding, that part of their tax and natural inheritance, by I mean our natural resources is our common
Resources.
inheritance, are being expropriated by the political leaders, you understand, in ways that you don't understand, in ways that you think are not appropriate, in ways that you think that someone is using you, or using your situation to enrich themselves, or at least to empower themselves. You would see that people will start different ways of agitation, and that increases insecurity issues. So at the end of the day, it revolves around how do we come together to voice our problems, make it heard, see how to translate that um, aggregation of needs into good policies, move that to implementation, and then we come back as citizens to track and say, did what we ask, did we get what we asked? And if we get it, everybody goes home happy. You understand? The government would be happy they are successful in meeting the needs of the people, and the people will be happy that they are gaining, from the common, resources that the government is managing on their behalf. So we need to bring this synergy, between what the people need and what government can do to improve our life. And that requires a whole lot of engagement between the citizens and the government. But at the first thing first is to improve the knowledge base of our people, help them understand that when you improve your education, your knowledge about politics, policies, and governance, you can then contribute in ways that would be um, equally beneficial between the government and the people. Thank you.
Okay, so we got this one here from Oche Courage again, a second time, and it's saying any collaboration with any NGO in the North? Yeah.
Um, Thank you for that question, Oshe. Currently, we our 5 year strategic plan is focused on Eastern states. We are a new organization. We are not going to shoot ourselves on the feet by thinking that we can solve the whole problem of the world. Even though our bigger goal is to reach there, but we have to grow one step at a time. Now we are in Abia State. We are trying to expand to other states like Anambra and Enugu and Ebonyi State with our programs. And while we are doing this, we are learning and growing. So we have to know what we did well and how we would scale those areas that we are doing well. And then what did we do? Because not all programs that you implement that achieve the overall outcome. But as an organization, you have to be conscious enough to learn your lessons and know what program you need to sunset and which program you need to upscale. So we are going through that learning process. We try this and we see how receptive it is between people and government. And if it's successful and people buy into it, then we scale up. And as we are scaling up, we are intentional about the states that we are scaling up. Nonetheless, we've had proposals where organizations in the north and in the south have approached us to collaborate. Like I said, if it's a program that have a national outlook, for instance, you want to do a program across the senatorial, the regions, and maybe a state from the north, a state from the east, and a state from the south. We've seen that kind of collaborations, or we've tried to broker those kind of collaboration. For instance, we did a program with Bandless Hand. Bandless Hand is in Lagos. American Corner is in Lagos, the one that we collaborated with, and we were in Abia State. So what we did is set up a physical space for people in Abia State to come in and benefit from that training that is being delivered in American corner. But we also know that internet is a problem, just like me and Emmanuel are struggling with our internet. So what we did is add additional sessions where physical facilitators, about 3 persons, came in person to cover that gap. So the areas that they missed, joining in, through the Zoom, we were able to cover those areas with physical training. So at the end of the day, it's not like we gathered people in a space to watch, football match that is being played in London from one corner. So we made sure that they got return for their time investment in gaining that training on the International Women's Day. So yes, we have collaborations like that, but our focus is in the eastern part of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask you the last question before we go. What are some of the activities lined up in celebration of your 1 year anniversary? What giveaways are you giving us? We, the loyal online in-laws.
Don't allow our staff to hear you because I don't think those they are sleeping anymore. Every it's not like every day, every day like, oh, what do we do? How do we meet up with deadlines? Because we lined up so much. So
Hmm.
from the beginning of the month, we know that it's gonna be a busy week month for us because one is International Women's Month, and it coincides with our 1 year anniversary, and our organization is women owned. If you look at our board of trustees, they are all women. Please don't ask me why there is no man there. They are women
There
owned.
is God. Gender inequality.
It's not at all. They are women owned, they are youths owned. So all of us, as at when we found the organization, were under 40. So it's youth owned, and it's still women and youth focused organization, which makes it quite interesting to have been founded on the women's month of celebration. So first of all, we had the big event, which is the International Women's Day that I talked about the other time, and then we followed up with that after that training on the Friday to activate our school project on digital safety. So even before we knew the what's it called, the tagline for this year's celebration, we plan to have a safety space for young people to interact with us at the school level, set up like safety clubs in secondary schools and in some higher institutions where we interact openly with younger people on their vulnerabilities and how they can overcome that. So it was an opportunity for us to activate that in one of the schools in Umuahia, Ibeku High School. So it was a good outing. We had our facilitators train young girls. In fact, they were calling us in one of the videos to activate this in other schools where their friends are, because they really gained a lot and would want their friends to also benefit from that. But we let them understand that this is not a one-time event. We only came to start up this, and then we'll set up the club where young boys and young women can come maybe once in a month to interact with us on whatever is their vulnerability, and we can provide support on how they can overcome that. And then we also open up space for someone to join our technical board by writing a policy piece, that a compelling policy piece. So you would have seen that advert. We've been receiving position papers that people are submitting, and we've been giving them feedback on how to improve that, because we want every we want every applicant to be competitive enough when we review their application. That also leads me to explain our discussion. So we have this fireside conversation that we often hold on our digital platform. We started celebrating women who are doing a lot in their different space. So last week we hosted one on, take journey with Ajiri, who is a web developer, and this Friday we'll be hosting two powerful women who are in the safety and security space to talk about the involvement of women in maintaining peace and security in our state. And these women coming from the WCAPS conglomerate. So that also would lead us to having our proper celebration on the 31st of March, which is our 1 year birthday. So the first event we would hold is a press briefing in Umuahia, where we've previously done baseline evaluation for a program that we rolled out last year on youth champions program. So the youth health champions program is a program we created for young people to be trained properly as health volunteers in communities to help keep surveillance, to help provide um, outreach programs, periodic outreach programs, to help also educate family members within the community. So these young people must live in that community. And the whole essence of creating this program is to train them and build their capacity on how to monitor and encourage people to seek health early enough before it becomes an emergency issue. So we train them and connect them to local health facilities in their community so that when they see what is not good in the community, like you observe a child and you see a vibrant child is not more vibrant, you should know the child is sick. And sometimes the parent might be in the farm or in their stores and would not notice until the child becomes very ill. So when you see things like that, you know what to do, and you connect the child immediately to the health facility to examine and offer proper treatment and care. So when we did the baseline evaluation for that program, we had interesting findings that we want to share as our own part of the advocacy trust to the government, because it's not everything that the community has expressed that we'll be able to cover. So we have a particular focus, but other things came out of that baseline evaluation that we want to share through the press briefing. And then later in the day, we would hold our annual general meeting where all the governing board of the organization and staff and volunteers would participate. We will stream the early part of the program because we are bringing in a leadership expert. His name is Greg Arden. He's a US-based leadership coach and expert to deliver a keynote lecture on leadership and organizational structuring to us. So we'll stream that live for other people to benefit. But when we go into the nitty-gritty of the AGM meeting, we will cut off that to become an internal event. Thank you.
Okay, such a basket full of activities, and we trust you, Sha. They carry last for this kind things.
Now the work we they do,
Thank
and
you so
someone be
much.
asking me, how do you do all these
Is the
things
work?
all the way from the United States of America? I'm like, it's a new age. There's a reason why we have technology and
Yeah,
sharp brains. So when you
mm,
have the right
it's a digital
team,
world.
yeah,
It's a digital world. Yeah. So I was
yeah.
going to ask you that before we wrap up. That who would you like to send your appreciation to as we wrap up, knowing that you are many miles away and work is still going on? You talked about how difficult it is to get the right staff and even hiring and all of that. So it compounds the issues for the staff you have because they have to do like two, three people's job because of getting the right people to fit in other spaces, you know. So who and who would you be appreciating? What's the final word to your organization, your board members, your technical team, everyone? Who would you like to say thank you to as we wrap up the interview?
Okay, so in no particular order, so that some people will not feel like there's favoritism in how I want to appreciate people. I want to first of all I want to first of all appreciate engineer Ndukwe. She's part of the board of trustee, Ndukwe Enyoma. We started this organization with vision, but she and her husband, they provided us an office space free of charge. We don't know what it means to pay electricity bill, or this. And most organizations I've seen 3 years down the line, they don't even have a physical space, but we had ours from day one. So I really appreciate the couple for their contribution to the growth of the organization. And then I moved to the early volunteers who started this organization with me. Like I said, it's one thing to have idea, it's another thing for people to roll with it. I had people like Lancelot Ejike, I had people like Mark Asonye, I had people like Jonathan who continued to become our staff. They just heard, oh, we are starting this organization, and they bought in, made it their own before we could even say let's do this. They have gone ahead to prepare everything, and even with the challenge of internet and insecurity issues in Umahia, they keep navigating those challenges to achieve laudable results and outcomes. So I want to appreciate them. And I want to thank our technical advisors. They've been awesome. Starting from strategic plan, even some document, I don't know what the name is and why we should have it. They would come and ask, do you have this? Just to make sure that we are a well-structured organization that have good reputation to do non-profit business. As we are 1 year, but all government requirements, all accounting requirements, all security requirements, every permission and licensing that we require as an organization to do business and to be audited, we have it. And I'll tell you that we even have a 1 year was it financial accounting. I don't know how we did that, because I don't know how a beautiful lady who just joined us brought us together and put together all our expenses and all our incomes and donation into a very streamlined financial statement that we can boast that in 1 year or in less than 1 year we had that already. So we have good staff who are committed to the vision of the organization. We have technical board who are seeing ahead of who they're seeing ahead of us. And even when I'm in school, I cannot juggle all these things. You see someone stepping in and say, okay, send me that document. I'm going to review it. Connect me to the staff who is responsible for doing this. I would support that staff to complete the process. And they've been doing that. And I tell you, our technical board, our governing board, they are everywhere. They're in Nigeria, they're in UK, they're in Malaysia, they're in US. They're literally everywhere, and yet they keep working with our time to make sure that we put everything, in terms of paper-wise, legal documentation, processes, structures in place. So I want to really, really appreciate them. But most importantly, I want to thank our donors. We have individuals who donated and who continue to donate to the organization. Some are even anonymous. I'll just see a deposit with a tag Siedihub, you understand, without name. So those anonymous people, I want to appreciate you for the contribution. Those small donation is what we've been using to pay staff while we aim for grants and big partnerships. You have been sustaining us so far up until now. So we appreciate your input, your effort, and your contribution. Thank you very much.
Okay, Chinasa, so many questions I need to ask, but I'm just respecting myself because of Abuja network. But I know a day after the 1 year anniversary, would like to have you again on Shagalinku so that we'll have an overview and then maybe do vote of thanks to everyone who supported again in the physical and overall planning and execution of the first year anniversary. So I hope by that time we will have other networks. I mean, I have three networks here and all of them are not still standing well. Like I said, Abuja is not part of governorship election. So I don't know why the network is still doing like this.
It be like say our network don't join INEC. Go on.
This shade you are shading INEC. Chinasa, there is God. You are shading INEC.
I plead my fifth because I plead my fifth.
Oh, God.
Thanks for having me on,
So,
Daniel.
so on the final note, what will be your parting words as we wrap up now?
Thank you very much to the viewers and those who have joined, and to those who have asked questions, contributed to this conversation. I would say that City Hub belongs to everyone. We are just trying to create a safe space where people will be empowered to raise their voice, to raise their action, and to improve their livelihoods in whichever way that we can. And it's a contribution of everyone. We had facilitators, high profile facilitators and other kinds of facilitators who come willingly to speak in our events, to train our staff, to train our beneficiary without asking for a dime. Like, I know how much people collect a star code, a honorarium, and all whatnot. It seems like they look at us and like, you're a new organization, let's help you build. And they are doing this willingly. We cannot do anything without the contribution of everyone who support us in one way or the other. Even those who are liking and sharing our social media posts, you are contributing to our reach. And let me tell you the truth. Funny enough, most of the people who approach us for partnership is because they see our trend on social media, and these are organic. The organic trend. We don't even have resources to say we are paying for premium services. But because you click, you like, you share, you comment, they look at us and they know, oh, these people are really making impact. We should partner with them. And that is really paying off as we grow. So continue to grow with us. And like I said, we are open to partnership with organizations that have equitable and reputable processes to do business, not just those who see us and want to leverage on, or ride on probably our location or our mission statement or whatever, to do what people we don't want to associate with do. So we vet every partnership that is being thrown to us to make sure that it aligns with our goals and purpose, and that you are reputable enough for us to do business with you, because saving lives means that you have to keep your house in check first. And we are committed to that goal. So thank you, Emmanuel, for continuing to be our partners. And no be say you just dey laugh up and down here. You are part of our technical board o. So when we are talking about those that are helping build Siedihub, he is now our number one. He's like, even in the middle of the night, his middle of the night is my daytime. I will go and wake him up. There is fire on the mountain. How do we do this? You are a media and advocacy expert. Come and tell us the best approach. And he's always responding. So I want to appreciate you specially for being in our corner and for contributing to our growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Inasa. Viewers, thank you all for joining us. And once again, apologies for the network. You never can tell how these things work. Nigeria just happened today. Even with three different networks, it's still not doing. Surprisingly, the hotel I'm also staying, they said their old wireless is not also working. And I'm like, I have three networks of my own. It didn't do. And then the hotel owned too. It didn't do. We must still do this interview. And I'm happy at least we're able to do something with Chinasa for 50 minutes. And so many questions I would have really loved to ask. But let me keep all of them and bring it after the 1 year anniversary. And then hopefully we'll have enough time to talk more. So thank you everyone who joined, to Courage, to the other lady who also sent a message, and to everyone who joined us, even to Raf and everyone who joined. The videos will still be here after the show, so you can watch after the show on YouTube, on Facebook, and all Ashagalinko TV outlets. And drop your comments there for our guest, Chinasa Imo, all the way from Chicago, United States of America. And once again, thank you, Chinasa, for everything. And we wish you the very best. And we pray that the 1 year anniversary will bring about many more unfolding blessings from God Almighty. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, urging you all to have a beautiful Monday and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care of yourselves and bye bye.